Okay, so the next question I'm going to cover was actually a lot of questions that came in, all related basically to the same topic, which was how do we train dogs on odor? What's more important, searching, odor recognition, teaching the final response? So what I figured, I'll cover it all kind of in one response. So to answer that question, what I utilize is what I refer to as odor pays. And what that really means, it's a delayed conditioning methodology of teaching the dogs. Delayed conditioning is different than simultaneous conditioning. Many of you know and are used to simultaneous conditioning is where you have a box and you put the ball there or a food there and the odor is also there. What we do with delayed conditioning is it's only odor in the box. When the dog goes into the box, while they're in the box, then reinforcement happens. So before I even start any of this, I've already used or loaded my marker. My marker is understood to my dog. I use 2 markers in the beginning, which is basically a clicker for repetition, and then I end with a terminal bridge, which is going to be my word free, which later on, once I've trained the dog, I don't use the clicker anymore. It's just the verbal marker free, which then signifies to the dog that the session is done, whatever they did was completed, and they can come back and get reward. So the delayed conditioning model, I utilize a typical box called a dopamine box. Many of you guys are familiar with this from the sport world, which I'll show you right here. It's this box. Many of you guys see that. We take our odor, we place that in that box like so. When the dog's nose goes into this box, and while they're in this box, then they'll hear a click, food dropping in. Click, food dropping in. They leave this box, nothing happens. They go back into the box or back in odor. While they're in odor, click, food drops in. I then change that game to be where their nose has to be on the can, they're sniffing the can, and then they get the click and then food drops in. Their last repetition will be the verbal marker free. When they hear that, then they can engage with the toy that we have or the high value reward item. So that's how we use delayed conditioning. It's also done by using these tins. A lot of you guys have seen those. These tins are used where the dog goes up, sniffs the tin. While they're sniffing the tin, they hear the mark, they're then paid. They sniff the tin, mark, and then paid. Both ways, odor is first, then reward. By doing that system, we create a dog who understands the pathway to reinforcement is finding odor. Odor is the most crucial and most important part in the sequence. When we pair this with reward, reward will always intrinsically have a higher value than the odor. And I want the other way around. I want odor to have the highest value. So utilizing delayed conditioning helps make that communication process that much easier for the dog. So when it comes to response, what is our trained final response? So I like to use basically what does the dog naturally do at odor, and when that happens, I use my condition reinforcement by marker. Many cases, the natural response that the dog does when it's at odor is basically lock up. They freeze up like a pointer freezes kind of thing. When that happens, I'm rewarding. The reason why I utilize a focused response is because there's nothing else that typically causes my dog to lock up and freeze unless the stimulus is present, the odor is present. I have no problem using a sit response. If you want to use a sit response, you can. The only thing I want to cover when we talk about utilizing a sit response is a sit can happen for many different things for a dog. Dogs get reinforcement for offering a sit behavior in many other aspects. So for me, that's why I don't typically use that unless requested by the client. You can use a sit, you can use a down, whatever it is that you want your dog to do, then use it. The old saying goes, you get what you reinforce. So if you reinforce behaviors not related to odor, you might see those behaviors in other things that have nothing to do with odor, even though that behavior is also used at odor. So I hope that makes sense. The other part of this question is, what's more important? Is it the hunt? Is it the odor recognition? Is it the alert behavior? What is most important? I always start with hunting before I even get to that odor pays box. I teach dogs how to hunt. Now, dogs know how to hunt. I just have them learn to hunt better more efficiently, more effectively for the environments that they're trained to work in. So with the puppies that we have them hunt for their food frequently. I joke around that no meal comes for free, and that's because they're constantly hunting for their food. Now that transitions over time to hunting for the toy, and I'm just doing skill building at that point. There's nothing related to odor, but that skill comes into play later on as we progress through training. So I hope that helps answer the question. There'll be more videos about odor pays in the sequence about this, how to use the box, what we're doing, what we're looking for, the sequence in which we're doing it, why do we use a clicker first, then a verbal marker. All that stuff is coming out and videos coming up soon. So stay tuned. Keep the questions coming. Enjoy.
And I guess if he doesn't look like what you're